Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
Destiny and subscribe if you only knew the power of the sports Jedi.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is where the fun begins.
This is the way.
This is the way.
You have been well trained, my young apprentice. They will be no match for you.
This is where the fun begins.
Yes, Master.
Rise.
Getting away, a line drive kick of Sam Moore. Hits and runs under it at the 35. Starts to his left, heads to the 40, turns the corner, at the 45, 50, at the 40, at the Bills 30, inside the 20, stutter step, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown!
Subscribe if you only knew the power of the sports Jedi.
What's up, Jet Nation? Welcome to the Sports Jedi Network, the JETS-ALORIAN podcast here as we record the ending of week number 6. My God, these weeks are going so fast in the NFL football season. In one of Coach Saleh's biggest victory of the season as a head coach for the New York Jets in his career, beating the undefeated Eagles. That's right. The Eagles, undefeated Eagles, no more. They come into MetLife, and the Jets get 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions on Jalen Hurts, and come away with a 2014 thriller victory at MetLife. That's the first time in Jets franchise history they beat the Eagles. And my goodness, I am excited as a Jet fan, a longtime Jet fan, watching the Jets just don't play Philadelphia well in the history. And to see them go out there and just play well. You know, Zach Wilson wasn't nothing to write home about, but he didn't make many mistakes. He didn't make any mistakes at all. When he doesn't play mistake-free football, game manage, they didn't put him in position where he could hurt the team. And what are you going to say about Breece Hall running the football? But the story of the game, if you ask me, is the defense. You coming in, we hear the reports that Sauce Gardner out with a concussion, no DJ Reed out with a concussion. The secondary, at least the corners, no problem. You know, and you could ask any of us Jet fans, seeing that our corners were out, we were like, oh boy. And A.J. Brown was trying to put the team on his back and carry the Eagles. I mean, he was making play after play after play, but they were very one-dimensional. In my case, I thought the Eagles should have went a little run-happy first with Swift. I thought Swift was going to be whenever he caught the ball, with the football, I cringe a little. I thought it was going to be burst some openings, but he had a pedestrian game. You look at the stats, but all in all, man, what can you say? The turnovers, the Quentin and Quincy Williams, the Williams brothers were monsters. I mean, my goodness, they were all over the place. You had Quentin with a interception. You had Quincy with a fumble. Although he tried to return it back, he got lucky that he got. And kudos, before he even made that play, kudos to C.J. Mosley. I always give him a lot of grief, and I always give him, can you make a big impact play? C.J. Mosley knocking that football out, and Quincy, he tried to scoop it and take it to the house. I know he kind of fumbled it away, and good thing that he landed back on it. But at the end of the day, they came up with the football. But I wanted to give them their flowers. The Jermaine Johnson putting that pressure there and allowing that with that sack. The whole front seven of the New York Jets were impactful. And it just proves how dangerous the Jets are. They beat an Eagle team where they're coming in. They were a 6.5-point favorite on the road in MetLife, and the Jets had a lot to say with it. Very impressive. Breece Hall running the football. Even Dalvin Cook played well. I saw a couple plays where Dalvin Cook stepped stopped the linebackers from blitzing and gave Zach Wilson just a bit more time. And, of course, Michael Carter, the running back, as well. I always give him his flowers. He's a good pass-blocking running back who doesn't get young sung hero situation. And then when Tippmann, we lose Tippmann down. We have Max Mitchell in. We know Mekhi Becton played well. We know Elijah Vera Tucker for the rest of the season. Next man up mentality. This makeshift offensive line did well, held well. You could tell that you got to give with anything time to gel. I think this offensive line, the more barring injuries, they stay healthy, play together, cohesion, and they will continue to get better. But I buried the lead. I just buried the lead in, and the lead was before the game kicks off. You're looking all over Twitter. As I prepare, I do the watch-alongs here on the JETS-ALORIAN podcast. A lot of watch-alongs with the Jets football. And I'm getting Twitter, prepping, and I had her download it and play it. My first video was Aaron Rodgers. I said I was burying the lead, but Aaron Rodgers trying to prove medical science wrong. The guy is not even in a walking boot. He is he's on the field throwing the football, not just soft tossing it. He is actually stepping in and throwing the football. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, my goodness, he was on the sidelines. Whenever Rodgers is around, the team tends to gravitate, play better, knowing that, yes, and I guess it's a reminder. It is a reminder that the New York Jets had Super Bowl aspirations with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. The roster is extremely talented. The skill positions, as you see it from the defensive linemen, from the linebacking core, from the cornerbacks. On defense, they're very skilled. They're Pro Bowl worthy. Are they the 85 Bears? Absolutely not. Are they the, let's say, 86, 90 Giants? No. But can they play in this modern day NFL to be one of the best and units in football? Yes. Why not? Might not be historically great, but they're probably one of the best, or it's not the second, top three in the NFL for this modern day NFL. And they just get to the quarterback from all different players, from Franklin Myers. My goodness, Clemens didn't even play. Huff. What about Breece Huff? He huffs and puffs and gets to the quarterback. That guy, all he does is put pressure, and that's why you have a Jermaine Johnson cooking. You have a Quentin Williams in the tackle position. They come from everywhere. And if you're not, and the way the offensive linemen all across the NFL are atrocious at blocking or just slow. Everyone. We think the Giants and the Jets, it's a New York thing with bad offensive line play. You look it up and down the NFL, there's an issue with the offensive line. But when you have a front seven, the way the Jets put in week after week and the depth they have, and that's not only that, they showed us this game that they have depth in their secondary. Carter, Hall, these guys stepping in, and Echols didn't even play. We had another secondary player that's out, and they just keep bringing the talented players. As much as we want to give Douglas a hard time for the Zach Wilson draft of Zach and so forth, and some people wanting him out or whatever for not having a backup quarterback in here, or veteran backup quarterback, with all that, we get it. There's some concern, and there is a gripe that you could place towards Douglas on that. But my God, his drafting, you gotta love what you got in your general manager. When is the time that we put some respect on the general manager for drafting the talent and the players around? And as another unsung hero, that's why they're so. That's why the Jets are so dangerous. Just think if they could get a game manager to a good average quarterback, how dangerous they'll be going forward for the rest of the NFL season and possibly the postseason, or at least to December, if it's true that Aaron Rodgers is going to define a medical science and get back on the field for the New York Jets. I'm looking at this game and I'm watching, and Irvin. I'm looking at that and I was saying, man, where can I find someone who's unsung? And Irvin Charles, he's the gunner, wide receiver. He came in as a wide receiver. We saw him in the preseason, Hard Knocks. He made the team. He was on a practice squad, got elevated 2 weeks ago. And one of his things as a gunner and his speed getting down on the punting. Right now, the Jets special team coverage, phenomenal job from Moorhead punting the football. I mean, his average around 50+ yards for punt. And the way they cover and Charles open field, Irvin Charles, the way he open fields tackles, and he gets down there and don't let these punters get going my goodness, an unsung hero because the way the Jets play defense, the game positioning, field positioning is very, very important. And when you have a player like that and players like that in that unit, you play great complementary football, like Chef Dan likes to say. Special teams helps out the defense because it makes the field longer for the opposing offense to go. Then if you shorten the field and the defense do their job, the offense or the punt return team and Gibson, Gibson is special back there for fielding punts. You saw him win the game single-handedly and walk it off on the Buffalo Bills week 1. We saw the speed that we saw him in Hard Knocks in the preseason. The young man, undrafted, who has a lot of speed for the New York Jets. A very talented, special player, in my opinion, with the speed and his ability for punt return. You got to like it. And this much. Gibson is pretty much keeping McCall Hartman and not even active, not even playing, probably be moved. Find a new home for him, trade, because he's unhappy. And this guy, Hartman, has a lot of speed. McCall Hartman has a lot of speed. Gibson has a lot of speed as well. And personally, if they could get McCall Hartman on a trade and move him, you're going to see Brownlee. Now, that's another big target that we haven't even talked about that's inactive. And Brownlee we saw him in the preseason, another teamed up with Gibson. The Jets got depth. But they need depth is, again, more linemen, Tidman. The great thing about it, they have a bye. They get this victory. They play this game. They had to put the icing on the cake. They got the turnover on Jalen Hurts, and of course the interception, and then you saw Breece Hall run it in. They get the 2014 victory, rightfully so, well executed. And now we saw, and despite the fact that we had Garrett Wilson get his ankle caught on that terrible turf, I've said it time and time again. And I know this is going to probably go to deaf ears. No one's going to hear this or whatever the case. But for the Johnson family, your lease is up in 2025 from MetLife. It's time. It's time as us Jet fans want to have our own stadium. I know it costs billions of dollars, and I know it's a lot of money and maybe real estate. Where do you want to put the New York Jets? They don't fit in Manhattan because you can't have 80,000 a gridlock with traffic in cars, no tailgating in the city, whatever the case is. I don't know if there's any real estate for the Jets, maybe in Queens, instead of, I know the Cohens want to put casinos, and you know what? We're not in times for that. sporting events, make a stadium there. Forget about the casinos. Get the stadium for the Jets in Queens. You're gonna have, you have Cross Bronx, you have the tunnels, you have man transit, airports. It's time to put them in Queens and also make it a dome, retractable dome, because not only that, when football season is closed, you could hold events, NCAA tournaments. You could hold wrestling events for both. Wrestling right now is extremely popular with venues there. Think about the WrestleManias they could have in New York, and with All Elite Wrestling up and coming as well. They did a good job in London getting 70,000 people in an arena. New York, there's venues with all the concerts ongoing. You could use that stadium. You could do football. You could do you could host a bowl game in New York. All those good stuff there. The Jets got to think about getting that, because I don't know if they're going to go to grass field, ladies and gentlemen. And Garrett Wilson, lucky that was, and of course those non-contact injuries scares you. Granted, he hobbled off, and the Jets still were able to move the football, play well. Their running back attack, again, the more continuity our offensive line continues to play together, barring injuries, I think the more they're going to impose their will on opposing defenses. Right now, the bye is here. Thank goodness. We play the New York Giants coming out of the bye. That's a tough game. I understand the Giants are 1-5. They had a tough game against Buffalo, fell to Buffalo. That's a whole other podcast. They could have, should have, would have won that game. We could have easily been in second place. We're having a tiebreaker on Buffalo, 3-3. We both should have been sitting 3-3. It is what it is. You know what? It's going to even itself out. You are what your records say you are. I know that, because look, just think about that. And of course, I always say this saying, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. I say, if we would have just completed a couple of plays against those pathetic Patriots, because they're pathetic this year. I hate to say that, but they're pathetic. We should have beaten the Patriots there on that game. That would give us a win there. We should have beaten also the Chiefs. But then you could have said you should have lost to the Bills. So that's why they say you are what your record are. You know what? With Aaron Rodgers going down 4 plays into the season, and then here you are after week 6, you're a 500 team at 3-3, and your defense is ascending. It's getting better. Each week, other guys are stepping up. They're playing as a unit. They're playing together, and you know that you have depth. When you lose 2 of your Pro Bowl cornerbacks and guys come in and no problem, it tells you got to feel excited that these teams could play with the elite of the NFL. And again, I know what holds the New York Jets back is Zach Wilson. I know everyone has concern, rightfully so, because Zach hasn't put in a consistent, let alone a consistent game, back-to-back drives where you're like, oh, he's moving the football where it's going to result in touchdown, not just field goals, back-to-back drives where they could get 14 points instead of getting 6 or 3, and then they, that's it. But you got to show me something when a quarterback, and I understand that. I don't know if Joe Douglas is going to survey the quarterback market. Everyone wants Kirk Cousins here, but think about it. If you bring Kirk with Rodgers returning, I don't know. That's a interesting situation there. Now with Indianapolis, Richardson going down, possibly surgery, Minshew's not being moved. Minshew will finish out that season there. It's going to be tough to try to pry a backup quarterback. Nobody wants Kyler Murray, because I think the Cardinals are looking to move Kyler Murray on, because I know they're not going into the Dobbs basket, but they're competitive with Dobbs. It'd be interesting to see what's going to happen there. I don't know if the Jets make a move for the quarterback, folks. I think they stay with Zach Wilson here. The only thing that worries me is the backup of Zach. They signed Trevor Siemian. I was going to say Marcus. Trevor Siemian to the practice squad. You've got Boyle. I don't know what they are. Jets are going to have to play what we saw with the Ravens did. Hell of a defensive team. Be opportunistic, game manager. Don't make the mistake. Learn how to, the quarterback is going to have to make some big plays on third down with his arm, But again, I can't sit here 3-3 and complain too much. It could have been extremely worse. We could have been 1-5, or worse. We're 3-3, one game with the Bills, very spirited game, and they could easily packed it in. Felt sorry for themselves. They didn't. They stole that game for the Bills. Bills made mistakes. And again, when is it time now for the naysayers or the talking heads to say this is a Jet defense that turns good quarterbacks over? They did it. They made Mahomes look pedestrian. They made Allen look pedestrian. Russell Wilson looked shot. Mac Jones didn't really do much just completed a really good play action to his tight end. That was the touchdown of the game. I'm just watching the defense, and now people got to respect that they make these good quarterbacks uncomfortable. Now, the only one, Dak Prescott was pretty okay against the Jets. He was okay. He wasn't the reason why they won. That was just a game that it was just it was one of those games you want to forget, because the Jets didn't do anything right. They fell a little behind. They had a chance to cut it in. You remember that game. It wasn't Dak. Dak looked normal. He didn't look nothing. These quarterbacks don't look nothing right home about. Look at their passer ratings against the Jets. Now, the real question is going to be coming up. The Jets, good thing the Jets got a soft schedule coming up after the bye. I know we still got 2 games with Miami. We have to go to New England. We have to go to Buffalo. I get it, but it's a little soft schedule here. It's encouraging that they build. Don't look ahead from the Giants. Don't think because you're going to, 2 weeks from now, you're going to get on the field and you're going to go 4-3. You still got to go earn it. The Maras are, they don't want to lose to their roommates, their tenant roommates in the Jets, to the Johnsons and the coaches and all the implementation when it comes to work playing in New York. And Dable, I think, might be turning the corner with those Giants. It's going to see how they're going to do against the Commanders, and it's going to tell us, what the Jets are going to be looking forward to. But I just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to give a couple of guys a couple of their flowers, recognition on the Jets. The Quincy and Quentin Williams. Great to see their mama in the stands, and they gave her the game ball, and the mom was very proud, very excited to see that. Charles and the gunner on special teams, and the punter Morstead. Zerline. One of my things that was worrying me when the Jets, going into postseason, hopefully, knock on wood, if they do go that far, or if it's Rodgers. When I thought didn't think Rodgers was going to be injured, but the Jets will have a chance to go to the AFC title game or possibly the Super Bowl, and he was going to miss a field goal. That was my worry. I've said it before in preseason, and Zerline was going to be my worry. But so far, so good. He's been kicking well. Do the Jets make a move on wide receiver? I don't know if they really need a wide receiver. We saw Julio Jones got picked up by the Eagles. As I make this video there, he's going to join the Eagles. I don't know how much Julio Jones got left. You don't need to go for those veteran, aging guys. The Jets got a lot of talent. I'm telling you, Brownlee, Gibson. Also, I love the fact that I'm now speaking about those young, dynamic wide receivers. You saw when Nathaniel Hackett opened a little bit of the playbook. Especially when that end around that pitch there and they had Gibson run and they made into some positive yards, over 10 plus yard run, and then Breece Hall, boom, with the screen and beat. That's all we need to do. This team has enough skill, talent, and great speed that they could play the short game and trust your players and Conklin and Rucker to get yards after the catch. Get those yaks. Trust the players to get some yaks. And I think if they play that, I think it would also open up not just Zach Wilson to throw the football, with some possibly with the way he's throwing the back shoulder throws one-on-one. Also for Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook to run and Carter. I think if that's established where you got to respect that, then the running and the way the offensive line is starting to gel a little bit. I'm not saying they're game changers or records that there's still some issues with the offensive line, absolutely. But my point is, you see some flashes of continuity and cohesion on running the football, and if you're doing those kind of plays and spreading and the guys are getting yards after the catch, you're going to spread the field, and that's where the running game becomes phenomenal, and time of possession and so forth. So I'm excited there. I hope they work on that during the bye. Well-deserved bye, 3-3. I was saying that on the watch along when they went to halftime with the Eagles. I got to see something from this coaching staff to show me something. I need some adjustments. Did they make a lot of adjustments? They didn't make a lot of adjustments. I'll be honest with you. They tweaked it. They tweaked enough here and there to win. But at the end of the day, it was the defense that made the plays, that stopped it. This is the defensive game that was won in there by the trenches. And the Jets did that. I know no Lane Johnson for the Eagles, would have helped out mightily for them as well, because he is a hell of an offensive lineman for them. And their game plan, they were very one-dimensional. When I saw Jalen Hurts always in the shotgun formation, you could see if he's going to throw, he's going to play action, but the play action looked so pedestrian, and the guys were reading it. You got veterans there in that linebacker core. They see that. They know when to react, and they were all over like white on rice. So I'm excited. I was so happy for that victory. Good job on the Jets. Not a lot of good moments that they've given us in many years. You hear Joe Beningo say, "Oh, the pain," and he even named a podcast after that, shouting him out. And of course, we have a lot of different pains when it comes to Jet fans. But yes, this week we are winners. We beat the last undefeated team, and we break a snide that we haven't beat this team ever in history of these two franchises playing in the regular season. Phenomenal job there. And let's go Jets. This is the way. Let's take flight and let's continue this good vibe. Let's enjoy the season. You know what? Is there going to be games where we want to choke Zach Wilson? Absolutely. Is there games that we want to be excited and think that we could prove that we could compete with the NFL best? Absolutely. This team could compete with the NFL best. And it's just about execution and game planning. If you execute, game plan, and put and make the right proper adjustments, and that goes to coaching and also general managing, because if he knows there's a deficiency in certain spots and there's available tryouts, workouts, free agency releases, whatever it is, comb and look and do not leave a stone unturned. And if our general manager and the scouting department does their job, they're going to add something here. Remember, if you could get something that's going to be a positive player, that's going to give you, 65 cents on the dollar. I think if you're a Jet fan, or a Jet organization, you want to take that, especially if it's going to be 65% good on the offensive line. I mean, that's still a good ratio of success. So I know you want to be 80, 90%. I know that. Who doesn't? But right now there's a deficiency in those positions throughout the league. And if you could find that 65 cents to get you close to $1, I mean, you're ahead of the curve for some other franchises. So we'll see there. The Jets will enjoy this bye, and we will enjoy waiting for the New York Giants and watch week 7, with everyone playing each other, and just sit back and relax and hopefully get healthy, get our corners back, clear those concussion protocols for both our corners as well as the ankle of Mr. Gardner, Wilson. Hopefully they get back. That's all we want. That's what we want, our team to get healthy. And hopefully Sauce Gardner returns in the cornerback, and Garrett Wilson. So I mixed that name up there. And Garrett Wilson's ankle is healthy. That's what we want going forward. And don't forget to join us on the AFC Shakedown. We'll have this Saturday. We'll be on the Mafia Sports Report Network. We'll be there. We'll be talking about our victory there. And boy, the Bills, they got scared by the Giants. But I can't wait to talk to those guys about it. As well as Ace per head, the Dolphins keep rolling in the AFC. While the Patriots had a really ugly game, losing to the Raiders, and my goodness, the Patriot Nation wants Bill out. That's going to be interesting. So we'll talk that with those guys on that podcast on the AFC Shakedown. Yeah, you can follow it here as well. And yeah, we'll see you. And may the sports be with you. And this is the way. We'll talk to you next time, friends and family. Have a good one. Peace out.
Join me. Together, we can rule the galaxy.
Destiny and subscribe if you only knew the power of the sports. Jedi.